Okay, so I'm just going to go through real quick what we just did for the recording. We float shaded with turquoise all around the base of the bowl and under the rim. On the rim, across the bottom, kind of in the center. And then we reinforce that with crisp blue. And then we did a highlight float across the front and across the back. And then we did some dry brushing here in the center. Is everybody good with this part of it? Okay. You need a few more minutes probably. Well, you know what? And that's okay because we're going to do a little bit of base coating right now. What you should do is trace on your leaves, your stems, and your flowers. Okay, you don't have to trace on the flowers because they're stroke petals. But if you want just for placement, that's fine. But go ahead and get the leaves and the stems. And once you have those in, they're painted leaf green, okay? And it doesn't have to be 2 coats, it can just be 1 good coat and call it good. So I got to get mine on too. I didn't trace mine, so I'm just going to kind of fudge it and put it on here. Well, actually, I'm going to trace it real quick, I think. Okay. If it gets a little dark, you can erase before you start, like I did, because I pushed too hard. So I'm sad that there's not going to be any more Vegas. Maybe somebody else will take it over. Okay. So I'm gonna start throwing on some green. So that's just one coat of leaf green and it's perfectly fine. It's just one good coat. You don't have to do two. And if you start to get lost, look at your picture. I found that the leaves and the petals all started to look the same. Okay, so that's pretty much, yours might be a little different. I know mine isn't sitting exactly how I did it the first time, but that's okay. So when you're done painting the leaf green, I'll give you some more colors to take out. Oh, yeah, because while the leaves are drying, and they'll be dry probably as soon as in just a few minutes, mine are already dry. But go ahead and get out some peony pink, some cinnamon drop, and some black plum. And if you need more, Snow White. Find out. That's a lot. You're going to want to use a filbert, or you can use a round. I like using a filbert for these because it just makes it a little bit easier. And I'm going to use a 6. You can use a 4. But these weren't real small petals. Okay. And I'm going to start, what you're going to do is just start with your peony pink. You can dip some of this in the white if you want to tip it with white, because it's going to be, we're going to reinforce a highlight at the tips anyways. So if you like that streaky look, you can do that. So I'm just going to start right here. And you're just going to put in your little drop petals. You'll probably need a second coat if you don't add the white. But if you just, if you use the peony and you dip it in white, you get a little better coverage. Okay. They don't have to be perfect because we're going to shape them when we go ahead and do the shading and highlight. I actually don't like that filbert. I got to get a different one. Okay. Just take your time. The pattern is just a guide. To where, you know, they can be. So you start in the back row. I should have said that first. But if you start in the back row of one of the bigger blooms, then you just go into the front after, kind of go right on top of it. Remember, look at your picture, like I should be doing. Because not all the petals, some of them are upside down. So you just go in the opposite direction. Okay. Try not to hit too much of the green, but it's okay if you do, like I just did, because we can go back over it when we float the green, the highlights and the shading. So this one over here looked a little bare to me, so I'm just gonna add some more petals. And you gotta add some down here. So I'm just gonna let those dry. Now my leaves look a lot darker than what they really are. They look like I used Hauser and I didn't. I used leaf. I love painting geraniums. They're because there's really no rhyme or reason to the flower. They're just kind of everywhere. Sometimes they look wilted, sometimes they don't. So and the leaves are a little different. I'm gonna go ahead and do a, I know in Debbie's shop, they're gonna do a drawing. I'm gonna do a couple raffles. I'm just gonna do mine now. And then whenever Debbie wants to do hers, I think it's Donna that's gonna do them. She can interrupt and do hers. So what I did was I wrote everybody's name on a piece of paper. I have them all here in my hand because I can't find a bowl. And I'm just gonna draw a name, okay? Beth. Are you on, Beth?
Here, thank you.
You're welcome. So what you can do, what the prize is, go to my website, pick out a pattern, email me the one you want or message me, and I'll send it out to you.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's do one more. And Annette. Same thing. Just go to my website and pick out a pattern and let me know which one, and I'll go ahead and mail it to you. I'll need your addresses.
Okay.
Okay? It's hard to figure out how to do raffles on Zoom.
Being that I have all of your patterns here, I can always give them the pattern and we
okay.
can finagle it later.
Yeah, I'll just send it back out to you when you do another order. I'll
Yeah,
just replace them. Perfect. Thanks, Debbie.
no problem.
That's easy.
Thank you for doing that.
Well, if I didn't have to work tomorrow, I could have come to the shop probably and taught. But it's just, I can't miss right now. I've been I haven't been missing a lot of work, but it's year end. So we are just so busy. And I was already gone to Vegas for a week.
Year end is always hectic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I take time off in the summer and then at the holidays too. So. Is everybody good with their pedals? Kind of, sort of? Okay, so once your pedals are on and they're pretty much dry, we're gonna, and they're all done the same. Every pedal is done the same way. So with cinnamon drop and a flat brush, we're gonna do a float at the base of each pedal. So you'll want a smaller flat to use. So I'm just going to start over here and I'm going to start in the back. Okay, because there's a pedal covering this one. So I'm just going to kind of just at the base of each pedal and walk it up. And you do want to go around the tip of any pedal that's laying on top of it. Okay, can you see that? I was right here, here, and here. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the next row. Okay, and then once those are drying, while those are drying, you can always just go to another area so you're not going to hit the ones you just did. Okay. So then I can go over here. And I'm going to fix these because I kind of went over on the green, and that's fine. So you just want to float every pedal. And it only takes, it seems like a lot, but it's really not. It only takes a minute. Okay. And you'll see your flowers are going to start taking shape. I never used to like painting flowers. I just thought they were so hard until I realized, they're not perfect. They don't, I mean, the way I paint them, they're more folk artsy flowers. They don't have to be perfect. And mine kind of just represent a certain type of flower. And I like it that you can get a little more free and put your own twist on it. They're starting to resemble a little bit more of a geranium. Make sure I come over here. Okay. Oh, I got one more set. Okay. So you're going to you're going to float the base of all your petals, but then you're going to do it again with black plum. But with the black plum, it's very little, it's watered down. You just want to give the flower a little bit of depth. Okay, and the black plum will do it, but it can also overwhelm the petal with its dark purple black color. So you really want to be careful when you're using it. Because you can always go back over it if you want it darker. So if I start right here, all I want to do is enhance my cinnamon drop. So you can tell the difference. This is one with the black plum, and this one doesn't yet. So it does enhance that color. So I think I got a little too much over here. I'm going to go back with my peony pink after and fix these because I walked them up too high with the black plum. I knew I was forgetting something. I forgot a whole row of flowers or petals rather. Okay. So now for me, I like the way those turned out. These I think may need a little more, and this I did too much. So I'm gonna go back a little bit on those and kind of just brush a little peony pink back into them. And I'm just gonna float some pink so it's not too dark. Okay. So you can just play around once you get done, look at them and see if they're dark where you want it dark. Like here, I just wanted a little bit more. Then with your Snow White, you're going to do the same thing, but on the tips. And these might need a double coat if you want them real bright. But I did not do, I did a pretty thick float. So it's up to you, but my floats were pretty thick. And I still think I went over them again. So we're going to start up here. And here also, you can kind of shape the tip. Okay, it doesn't have to be a complete oval. I kind of wiggled it so there's a little dip in the center. Okay. Let me get the second row done, then it will be easier for you to see. So now you can tell back row and the front row. Okay, I'll put it up on the camera for a second. Like I said, it'll be up to you if you guys want to do a second coat. But just make sure not to have them all perfectly curved because that's not how they look. Not that this is how they look either, I guess, but I don't think each petal is a perfect circle or. Okay. So I'm just going to go around and finish my tips of the petals. And once we're done with this part, we can go ahead and take a break. You guys need to get up and go to the restroom or get something to eat, drink.
Unmute.
Hi, Liz, it's
Left
Kim.
side bottom.
Hi.
Hi, Donna's gonna do a giveaway.
Oh, sure, of course.
Okay, she's gonna come.
Okay, somebody want to pick a number? Oh, I have to go over there.
Yeah.
I planned on it, my lady,
You could have Liz pick the number.
so
You want to pick a number?
No, let's let Liz.
Okay.
everybody hit-
Hi, Liz.
Hi.
Do you want to pick a number? We're going to give away a Michael's gift card,
Okay, it's 1 through what?
1 through 19.
1 through 19? I will pick 16.
16. Ursula, how do you pronounce the last name? Painting? Ursula
Peony,
P-E-I-N-E.
Peony. I don't know how to say it. Ursula.
Ursula Peony.
Is Ursula there?
I don't, unless she has a phone number,
Okay,
but I don't have her down.
Okay. Should we do the second one too? Okay, we're going to do one more.
Okay,
It's
I'll
a-
pick,
A
Number
gift card for Creative Clutter. So if you want to pick another number for us,
okay, number 3.
3. Diana Ray.
Oh, Diana's on there.
Diana Ray's.
I'm here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So she got the Creative Clutter one.
okay.
Thank you.
Beth, do you have Dinah Ray's address?
I have her email. Her email's on that list.
Yeah. Yeah, she's right there. There she is.
All right, so let me make a copy of that.
Okay, okay, sounds good. Oh,
Yeah, actually, you know what? You can have this. Yeah.
I can have that one?
Yeah.
thank you, Liz.
Thank you. All right, so is everybody getting close with their petals? Okay. So that's how I'm gonna leave mine. I can always go back later because I realize I need to add probably a couple of extra petals right in the center here. And I can do it now. And kind of just put them in the center. See what happens. Let them dry for a second. Does everybody want to take a 5-minute break? Get up, get something to drink. Step away. Okay. Then I'm going to turn off I'm going to mute myself for 5 minutes and I'm going to turn off the recording. Okay, so now that your petals are in, or most of them should be, we're gonna move on to the leaves and the stems, okay? And you're gonna need to get out Hauser Dark, Irish Moss, and Snow White. Okay, so that's Hauser Dark and Irish Moss. Stuff around. It's the same idea on the leaves as it was with the petals. Except some of these leaves are upside down. So you just got to look and see where the base of them, where the base is. Okay. So if you want to go back in, you can. If you needed to touch up where your petals kind of got in the way, you can do that first, just with a little bit of your leaf green. Because I know I did. So right here, I'm just going to go back in with my leaf green a little bit and let it dry. Okay. And the same thing here, because I'm going to have my leaf kind of covering these petals a little bit. I mean, I'm sure there was another way I could have written the instructions, but so I only needed to touch up a couple spots. Anyhow, so take your Hauser Dark and you're going to use a flat. And you're going to float just the base of each leaf. Okay, so I'm going to start, I hope you can see this. I'm going to start right here. And I'm just going to walk it out. Yeah, you can see it right there. Okay, so then I'm going to do the same thing down here. And over on this one, kind of obvious when there's a stem attached, you can tell which way the leaf is gonna go. And these are facing down. In fact, I'm gonna add a little stem on this one, because that one's just kind of floating. Okay. So with Hauser Dark, you may have to go back over it, just float your bases. Each leaf. And then right here, now I like a lot of contrast, so I don't mind them being pretty darn dark. Because once you get that Irish moss on there, it's a pretty big contrast. So right up here, these are two or three, depends how many you painted. They're separate. So we're going to try to separate the little buds right there. Okay. And then I'm gonna make this part the base. Actually, it's gonna be right here. So wherever you have or think you may have a stem is where you're gonna base, or I'm sorry, float on your, at your base. Okay. You also need to float on the stems themselves where they meet. So you're gonna do the top here and here. Come up on the side a little bit, stay on the chisel, and just, it's not even really a float, you're just adding some color. Because we're gonna add some highlights, so you gotta have some shadows in there. That one's way down inside the petal area. Okay, and while we have our Hauser dark out, we're gonna go ahead and add some vein lines. And there's no pattern obviously to those. It's just thin out your Hauser dark and get a liner. And I just kind of made little, you can hardly see them. You may have to go back over. But like I said, once we put in that leaf green, or I'm sorry, the Irish moss, everything's gonna pop. So just, I'm just adding some line work in here. Okay, they're starting to shape up or take shape. I shouldn't say shape up. So Irish moss, one of my favorite greens. This will definitely have to take probably 2 floats. But you might like it with just the one. Like I said, I like a lot of contrast. So I'm gonna start here and I'm just gonna float the tips. It looks so funny on the screen, the color. It looks, even in the picture that I printed out for myself, it looked so yellow. Okay. So it's not a, it's a strong highlight. I want to know if the word is strong. I guess it's just pretty much a different color than that. Than maybe what we would normally use as a highlighter. But we're going to add some white. Okay. Did somebody ask a question in the chat? Oh, no, that was, you can tell I'm not watching the chat because that was from the beginning of the class. Okay. So don't forget to highlight right here next to the other leaf. Now this is going to dry light, so that's when you can tell if you want to add more. I'm going to go ahead and put a second coat on mine so you can see. I'm going to get all these in first. Smaller areas stand out a little bit better. Okay. So I am going to go back and just a little bit. I'm going to just kind of add another coat or another float of Irish moss. And now I'm really, I can see how that float really stands out just a little bit more. Okay. So I'd like to do it down here. Try to see if I give you more light. That might be a little bit better. And then I'm just gonna do one more over here. We also need to line or add some highlights on our stems, okay? But what you're gonna do is take your liner brush, you don't have to get it wet, you don't have to mix anything, really. You're just gonna take a little bit of that Hauser, or I'm sorry, Irish moss, and just add some highlights to your stems. So we're going to do this again with some white. But you do want those stems to pop out a little bit and not hide so much. Okay. Then with your Snow White in a liner, and you don't have to water this down, you can just do it. You don't even have to really get your little liner wet. You're just going to add some white highlights to the leaf and to the stem. And that just, it makes them, they just stand out a little bit more. They don't have to be big highlights or big, big lines. Doesn't have to be on all of them. I know it's hard to see the line work, but maybe that's a little bit better. Okay. So the white on the leaves is the last step of the flowers. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to go ahead and get those done. Okay, so the next thing we're going to work on is the watermelon. and the rind. So get out a little bit of your Hauser light green and a dry brush. Okay, and this is where you're going to really want to look at your picture, just kind of for placement. Not right this minute, because we're just going to dry brush the whole, pretty much the whole rind, the center. So I'm just going across. But it's a good amount. We're not covering the whole thing. I'm gonna add a little more, but I don't want to dig a hole either, so. But this was kind of heavy. We wanted it to be seen, and it's kind of rough. Okay, yeah, more like that. So that's the first step. And then you're gonna take, just wipe out your brush, don't get it wet. Just wipe it out, add a little bit of Snow White. Wipe it off. And then just, not as much as we did just now, but kind of just in the center. A little more narrow. Okay. Then wipe out your dry brush again. Wipe it out really good. And get out some, or use some of the Hauser dark green that you have. And we're just going to put in some vertical lines. So that's just going to be you guys got to be able to see it. Hold on a second. Let me get a different brush. See, I'm adding these vertical lines with the Hauser. You might have to go back over it again. You just want to scrub in some lines. Okay, so first you're going to dry brush with Hauser Light. You're going to reinforce it with Snow White. And then you're going to dry brush your vertical lines of Hauser Dark. Then you can rinse out your brush or brushes, like as in my case. Your dry brush. Then you're going to take the same Hauser Dark And we're gonna float the edge. Okay. So you're just gonna take your flat. It's not a big, huge float either. Because I didn't want to take away from the lines, but I really like how that look. It's kind of like a tone on tone. And then after I floated that, I took a white liner, and these are pretty thin lines. They don't have to be perfectly straight. They can be a little squiggly if you want. But on the right side of each Hauser dark vertical, I just added a white highlight. That's a little too thin. Okay, and they don't have to go from top to bottom, just put them in there. Then for the flesh part of the watermelon, you take your peony and a dry brush, and you just, or you actually probably take your Snow White with a dab of peony pink. You're just gonna mix it because you just want it to be lighter than the flesh. So you just want like a lighter pink. And you're gonna dry brush all the way across. Okay, just like that. Then you can go back in with straight Snow White, or as straight as it's gonna be, because you're gonna use that same dirty brush. Just wipe it out really good. Add some Snow White. Make sure your pink is dry. You just want to reinforce. I just right here in the center. You don't have to go all the way across. Okay, mine's kind of heavy. I probably shouldn't have done it that heavy, but it's all right. I can kind of scrub it out a little bit. Okay. Then we are going to take Cinnamon Drop. I love this color. You take Cinnamon Drop. You're going to float the sides and the bottom of the fleshy part. So you're going to go kind of off. Go here at the sides. Now I'm going to take my mop brush and really blend that out, because have too much of a line. I always do that when I'm on camera. I guess because I'm trying to make it to where you guys can still see what I'm doing. Okay. So you want to do the bottom and then you want to come up on the side also on the right side. Okay. The seeds are lamp black. And you can take a pencil and draw some in if you want, or you can just wing it. It's up to you. But if you just use I'm thinking even like a small filbert. And you can just kind of press them in, make a little bit of a point, and then you have your seed. Okay. So just press it down. And then on somewhat of a chisel, you can make a little point. The seeds, well, I guess watermelon seeds are pretty much perfect looking. You can do some that are just kind of like a little halfy right here. Like a half a seed. If you don't want it to put the seeds in, your watermelon will be seedless. But I think it looks better with seeds. Gotta compliment the bird because he's black too. Okay, so once all your little seeds are in, you take your liner brush again. You don't have to use a stylus. I didn't dot the seeds. I literally just laid in a little bit of white. So on the tip of your round or a liner, you can just kind of dab in that color. And that makes those pop out. Now, the one thing I did not put in the instructions, and I don't know if I forgot, and I don't even know if I did it on the piece, but you can take some of your cinnamon drop, and this will just make the seeds look like they're really set back in the watermelon. But you can take some of your cinnamon drop and do a little float underneath each seed. The bottom. I don't know if you can even really see that. Not very much, not on this camera. I can tell a tad, not a whole lot. Guess it shows up a little bit. But you can do that if you want, but there might just be enough cinnamon drop on here. Not gonna make that big of a difference. A little bit. So I'll let you guys work on your seeds for a minute. Well, let me just tell you this last part on the watermelon, on the flesh, you're gonna line the top and the bottom. Okay. So I used a script because this is not a real thin line. You just want to go straight across. Okay. Straight across the top and then straight across the bottom. If you want to do it twice, that's fine. I'm probably going to. Because it's a little too sheer. It's better. Okay. All right. Going on your seeds. Get your lines in. I forgot to put on there to add the bird's feet. It's just a black line, but I'm sorry. So if you haven't put in your legs for your bird, it's just two lines. So you're gonna want to thin out your black because you don't want these real thick. And I actually just go up into the bird and pull down because it's black on black, and then it just makes it a lot easier. Okay. One leg and two. So those little legs are in. What you're gonna need now is some crisp blue again. because we need to float on your bowl underneath any leaves and petals that you have, just to make sure you're setting them back. And to do that, you need to use your crisp blue. And it's not a big wide float. It's just want to get it in there. You don't want a line, so you really want to, okay. So right here is where I added a shadow. Like I said, it's not real wide. Okay. Then I'm going to do it over here. Okay. And I am going to do it underneath my petals just a little bit. This will deepen them. Okay. And I am going to go right here also. Along that side. So it's wherever you have your leaves, and petals on the bowl, just go back in and kind of reinforce the shading. Okay. And if you want, you can go in. Well, actually, I wouldn't do that now. Forget that. What we still have to do is we're going to float some dark chocolate around all the objects and on the heart. Once you're done with that, you can go back and really put some white into those petals. Because I don't know if you're like me, I'm going to get dark chocolate on that white no matter what I do. So, oh, let's line the ribbon though, real quick. So crisp blue, again, you should already have it out, and some snow white. So the ribbon, just going to use a liner, or you can use a number 1 round. It's not a real thin line. Okay. Shoot. Looking for a brush I can use. Okay, I'm just gonna use this little round brush. So with the crisp blue, because this really stands out good, I just kind of started in this general area and I came around, did a little loop, and then kind of just a little, so it looks like he's just sitting there on his neck. And then I did 2 little bows like that, little loops there. And then I just brought down some strings. So you can go back over it a little bit if you want to, because it is on black. And then you set it off with white. You're just kind of separating all the little pieces, right? So you know it's a bow and a ribbon. Oops, sorry about that. And that's it for him. So then the last part of the floating, the finishing, you're gonna take dark chocolate. And we float around the objects. But this needs to be done real lightly. And I would get a good 1/2 inch, or you could go a little bit larger if you want, but there's going to be areas that you're not going to want a big brush. I think it's time for me to get some new brushes. Okay. So you're just going to take let's start over here on this side. And we're just going to start doing a couple little, and you don't even have to call them floats because we're just adding color around each object. It's almost like a little wash, but we're using the technique of floating, but you want it really light.
What color is that?
It's dark chocolate. And you're gonna go around your little petals here. You don't have to hit every single one. Okay. So then I'm just going to come around here. See, and I'm getting it on my white, which is okay because it forces me to go back and add more white like I want to anyways. Okay. You want to make sure you go into the plant itself, right? And you want to get down in here next to the leaves and the stem. You really want to make sure you get in here. This is a dark little area. Come around your leaf. Come around your petal. You're gonna come around. This I did really, I think I did it pretty light on the picture. I can't really see it, but like I said, you don't have to do every petal. Okay. Around the leaves. Okay, then for sure, next to the bowl, make this one a little bit heavier. Okay, next to the bowl. And if you have any open spaces next to the top of the bowl, you're going to want to do a float right in there. There's a little area in here that's dark. Okay. And I'm going to go across the top of, I keep wanting to call it a pineapple, the watermelon. Okay. And you want to go under your bird. So I'm just gonna, I didn't do the top of the bird. I just went right over his legs. Okay. You're also going to want to do the edges of the heart. You really want to mop that out. Okay. Now, if you have your brown everywhere you want it, I'm actually to go up here too. Oh, excuse me. On the other part or the other side of the heart up here. You're going to want to do a float just until you get to where your flowers were. Now, if everything is where you want it to be, now's the perfect time to go back and add the white to your tips. And I definitely want to, because I can see where some of that brown definitely got in there. But you're really gonna notice these are gonna have a real nice pop to them. And it's super quick. You're just kind of going over what you've already done. Okay, so now you can really see the cleanup on the geraniums. And that is it. Let's see. Anybody have any questions or? Look at my messy area, right? That was a pretty quick class too. Didn't take very long.
Thank you, Liz.
Hi, Kim. Thank you. It was fun.
Thank you.
I hope everybody got close to finishing.
It's a finished project.
It's a finished project, yeah.
Got mine varnished already.
Wow.
If you get your finished piece done, can you post it on Sugar Pines Facebook page, or you can email it to me and I'll put it up.
I already did that also.
I'll put
Okay.
something out there too. And I'll tag you guys.
Okay.
That was fun. I wish next time I want to come out there. That'd be better. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Do
you.
you want me to end the meeting? I think that's. Okay,
Thank you, Liz. It was fun.
thanks, Diana.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Bye.